I like to make a lot of really bad levels in Mario Maker 2. And when I say bad, I mean just straight awful. And I also love to make these bad levels and then paint them as completely regular looking levels. For instance, my current magnum opus, Underwater 1 1, appears to just be a 1 1 remake but underwater, when in fact a lot more lies beneath the surface. But that's not what I'm here for. I am here for its sequel that I'm currently working on, Winter 1 1, in which I have made probably the most genius thing I think I've ever created. It's masterfully stupid. What is this thing? Well, it is a giant combination lock that is entirely randomly generated. As you can see right now, the combination is generated, and this is the combination, right? Every single one of these units without a muncher is one that you need to hit so that you can fill each of these gaps. But if you hit one with a muncher on it, then it blocks the corridor. So eventually, when you add to the end of this a 1-up or a mushroom of some sort, or really anything that just moves to the side in a straight line, making it so that it goes through that top corridor, you need to make sure everything is correct, or else it will fall in one of these holes or get blocked by a muncher. Now, the munchers, if I go into the editor, are all spawned via this really, really nice and compact set of randomizers I have, where for each randomizer we've got an ice coin with wings that flies up into the bomb, which blows up the bomb and thus blows up the ice and makes the coin drop. Now, if the coin bounces left, because it's about a 50-50 if it bounces left or right, though I think it does have some priority to the right, though I'm not entirely sure about that. I could definitely be wrong. If it bounces to the left, then it perfectly misses the cloud and goes down and hits the note block, which spawns a muncher. But if it bounces to the right, it gets just enough height to instead land on top of the cloud. If I just show this happening over a bunch of these, you can kind of see it as it's happening. And the reason there's one-way gates here is just to stop them from bouncing left onto the cloud in the next thing. It just saves putting a wall on this side instead, and then moving the one next to it over one block. It just compacts the whole thing. Coming down to the unit input, it's just a very basic thing. Obviously, this spawns a spring, which bounces this up, which also bounces the muncher up. It will always be on global ground because of these platforms on tracks. And there's one-way gates behind here, just so that the spring, because if this wasn't here, the spring would land on top of global ground also, which we don't want, because then the spring wouldn't be able to despawn and you could fill up the entity limit that way. So by making it so that the spring doesn't land on global ground, it makes it so that you have the ability to run away and those springs will despawn, which will fill up those slots. But luckily, because the Muncher, even though it's not, you know, connected to the blaster as a stack, it is still on top of the blaster, which is on top of global ground. So that means no matter what you do, no matter how far away I run, I can come back and my Muncher will still be here. And what that means is it means you can have this be as long as you want, so long as you don't fill up the entity limit. And I haven't filled it up myself, so I don't know how long this can be. But, you know, even just a few of these is probably big enough because, again, it's completely randomized. So while the amount of combinations for this lock normally isn't that high, because it's completely random, it's technically the same amount of possibilities, except you wouldn't be able to brute force it by putting in every combination in a row, because there's a chance that a big chance that it will be a different combination each time that you try to do that. I don't know, it's some weird thing with math where maybe it's technically the same amount of combinations, but there's luck on top. I don't know, it's weird, but this is basically that. And what else is good about this is obviously if you go into Night Ghost House so that the top isn't completely visible, nothing used in this actually provides light. You can kind of get an idea for where some of these might be if you hear the spawning sounds. You could enter the room and then beyond these first few, if you just edge yourself forward, you could listen out for, okay, that one didn't spawn one, neither did that, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that. But the only way for that to be effective is if you knew a lot about spawning mechanics and like how far ahead the one that just activated was compared to you. And again, there's all of these ones at the beginning that go at the same time, so it wouldn't be the most efficient thing either, and it could easily be bypassed by just having this a little bit higher and then putting a hyperspeed mechanism here that launches the player to the right while giving all of this stuff time to fully load before they're able to run around freely. Anyways, that's about it. I really just wanted to show this off because I was very proud of it. So yeah, that's about it. Peace.